It is October 2023 and the TCG world is in a state of mild panic. We are going to talk about all the reasons why that is. Let's start with Pokemon. This is a Pokemon channel. We are fresh off of 151. And from all indicators I can see, 151 has been a resounding success for the Pokemon Company. It's been a hit with players, with collectors, with casual Pokemon fans as well. Just the LGS that I work at, we sold through the initial stock within a week. We sold through the restock within 3 to 4 days. And then by that time, it was October 6th. The Mew boxes were out. Alakazam, Zapdos boxes, the Mini Tins, those have also been selling incredibly well. And even the secondary market on 151 is looking to be back in a healthy place where we see the normal trends of the initial prices being way up here and then just after release, huge dips. Especially on all of the alternate art cards. These are highly sought after, and yes, the pull rates for 151 were not where anyone was wanting them to be. It's still pretty hard to get those alternate art rares. Everything else in the set is pretty cheap. Even like the Poliwhirl and the Caterpie, which were my two chase cards, are still only sitting at around $5, which is a little surprising considering how pretty those cards are. And of course you have your Venusaur, Blastoise, and Charizard at the main top. Charizard has been the only card that has really stayed over $100, which is nice for people looking to do that master set. 151 is an amazing set to chase that master set on. On the opposite end of that spectrum is the Pokemon Classic Collection, the big fancy premium briefcase set with the little spinny marble thing on it. The last time I talked about that set on the channel was a video where I was speculating that it would be priced around $250 US and that it was a pretty good value for that. Yes, the cards are all proxies. Maybe the material isn't as nice in person as they try to make it look in those trailers. But I was thinking, you know, if this is up your alley, $250 is a simple price. Yeah, it's a lot of money to sink in, but it seems like you're going to get value out of it. And then when it drops on Pokemon Center, it's $400. I was tentatively in at $250. Like at $250, I was like, okay, yeah, I guess. $400 though, I haven't heard from anyone that has said $400 is a reasonable price, that they're still going in at $400. I think the only people that have actually been buying this classic collection are scalpers. And I feel like they're going to have a really hard time flipping these because you see on eBay, I was looking earlier, you see the classic collection listed for like $500, $600, $700 starting bid. Not even buy it now, I'm talking starting bid, 0 bids across the board. No recently sold ones. I think that just people have been tapped out enough. Even with Obsidian Flames, like a lot of people just skipped that set because they were saying, I don't want anything from this set except for a few supporters. I'm just going to pick up some singles and be done with it. They saved their money for 151. Now that 151 has kind of blown through its 3-week period, people are looking more towards Paradox Rift. It's got some spicy cards in there, some competitive cards, and that's where people's dollars are kind of set already. So when you are whipping out this kind of beyond ultra premium, it is the most expensive TCG product they've ever released. Between two highly anticipated TCG sets during an economic period where we are on the cusp of a collapse in America specifically, but also worldwide, not a lot of people are going to be going for this. And I get that it's not meant for everybody, but this is very similar to what Wizards of the Coast did last year with Magic 30 that pissed everyone off, to where it's just a product that's just expensive for no reason and is really marketed towards nobody except people that want to spend money. There have also been some noticeable changes in that secondary market where cards that have traditionally held their value very well, like full art supporters, a lot of special art Pokemon, those prices have begun to drop, and they've been steadily dropping, which concerns some people that thought that they would be holding on to value with those cards. Not a good time for speculators in Pokemon. And this has been across the board. So with all TCGs, I've been paying a lot of attention to Pokemon, One Piece, Magic, Digimon. Prices on singles have just been falling. And that's because as people start running out of money, the demand goes down, because these are all luxury items. No one needs to be buying TCGs except for TCG companies. So since I just mentioned it, we will also go into One Piece. Kingdoms of Intrigue released. Lots of really great looking cards in there. If you're a One Piece fan, there's a lot to love about Kingdoms of Intrigue. The problem is more on the competitive side, where we were expecting all of these cards to come out that were going to give power to new archetypes, to mix up the metagame more, so that Whitebeard and red decks weren't just dominating everything. And yeah, those decks came out, people tested them out, and turns out red decks are still just the best. And so people did not get what they wanted in playability. They did get plenty to work with collectability, though. And now everyone is looking forward to OP5 even more, with the same expectation we had for OP4, which is, if OP5 comes out and purple isn't the dominant color, then the metagame's just never going to get fixed without a solid ban list. And while we're talking about Bandai products, One Piece has been selling very well, Digimon has been selling very well, and the indicator that I take most from that is that with the LGS I work at, and that's a very small sample size, I understand, but when straight off the shelf people are buying more One Piece and more Digimon than they are Yu-Gi-Oh!, which has just been a mainstay as one of the big three, you know that there's a problem going on with Yu-Gi-Oh! They're just pumping out these sets that have no interest in them. People basically see what's in the set. They go, oh, one card's getting reprinted that I want. I'll just buy that card. Not a lot of people going in on packs or tins or any of these other 25th anniversary products that Konami has been releasing, which is a shame, because I do like these 25th anniversary products. Their appeal just isn't as widespread as I would have anticipated. I've talked before about those reprint boxes of like Legend of Blue Eyes, Metal Raiders, Spell Ruler. Those are all products that are intended for players like me that enjoy the game, but we don't play it often. We played in the very beginning, so we have nostalgia for Yu-Gi-Oh! But as for modern players, as well as longtime collectors, they don't really like these 25th anniversary products, because the format of the card, like the actual layout of the physical cards, is different than the original printing. And so collectors don't like that. There's not a lot there for players unless they're playing older formats like GOAT format. Even with a brand new set on the horizon, not a lot of people are really voicing enthusiasm about Yu-Gi-Oh! If anything, the only product that I've heard anyone express excitement for is the pot collection, because you get all of these different pot promos. If you're not familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh!, there's a series of cards like Pot of Greed, Pot of Avarice, all these different pot cards that have similar effects that have been printed throughout the years. And for each one of these promos, you get a little stand that is a replica of that pot in particular. All the pots have faces on them. It's a really cool product, but ideally players should be excited about the playability of new cards that you're getting, rather than just reprints of cards that already exist that have fun little figures with them. I just think that that's a big indicator for where Konami is with Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now, and where Yu-Gi-Oh! Players are with Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. And now let's do a little update on Lorcana. Lorcana has been in a very weird spot since release, because people want to play. Everyone that has played this game, all of the feedback I'm getting is, it's a great game, it's fun, I want to play more. Problem is, I can't find cards anywhere. It's really hard to build decks if you don't have the cards for it. And this is something we talked about at release of Chapter 1, even before that, is that distribution was not sending a lot of product out to stores. They were holding it back for big box stores like Walmart and Target. And even when that product hit the shelf, it was gone, because there were no anti-scalping measures put in place. Walmart and Target aren't going to limit people on buying as much as they want, because product selling immediately off the shelf is good for them. There have been a lot of rumors that there's going to be a reprint somewhere during mid-October. We're not there yet, and I don't think anyone has received official word from Disney or from Ravensburger or even from distributors on if this is actually going to happen for Chapter 1 products, because also on the horizon is Chapter 2, Rise of the Floodborn. And Disney and Ravensburger is being very, very confident with this release because they are sandwiching it in between a big Pokemon release and a big Magic release, which shows that they feel like they can compete with the big boys, that they have an IP that is going to last and that they're going to put work into. The only issue is that they haven't. Players have already lost confidence in being able to obtain product and to be able to play at official events and get new cards to test out instead of just having to stick with the same structure deck that they got at their pre-release event. And so this Pokemon set that's coming out in November, I believe it's November 3rd, Paradigm Rift, it's going to be a good set. I've talked about it on the channel. There's a lot of good cards in there. They're finally starting to amp up the competitive nature of their cards. All the cards are beautiful. The artwork has also been ramping up in the same way it did during Sword and Shield. It's going to be a big release. To have Lorcana release the weekend after that, it's tough, especially during a month where all I've been hearing from a lot of people is, I'm just strapped for cash, I can't spend money on cardboard right now, myself included. Just the way all of my bills and taxes and everything are lined up, I get hit hardest October 1st, and then I don't have money to spend until the holidays, basically. And so you have this big Pokemon release on the 3rd, big Lorcana release on the 10th, and then the weekend after that is Magic's release of Lost Caverns of Ixalan, which is going to be another fun set. Ixalan is a fan favorite for a lot of players. It has a lot to love there. It's an entire realm of pirates, merfolk, dinosaurs, vampires. It's a really fun combination, and this time around, they're going to have Jurassic Park cards in there as well. You can get Jeff Goldblum in cardboard form to play onto your Magic table. But to sandwich Lorcana in between two big releases from their biggest competitors is an odd choice. I feel like if Chapter 1 was still on the shelf or was like still freshly off the shelf, it would make a lot more sense. But so far, the game has not seen support from the people that are producing it, and so players are losing confidence rapidly. If Ravensburger and Disney does not fix this with Chapter 2, I feel like there's not going to be too many chapters after that, because if there's not product on the shelf, if players don't have cards in their hand, the game's not going to go anywhere. If this is just going to be a game for Disney scalpers, then it's going to die quickly, because people are going to lose interest. No one's going to be paying money for cards because they have no value outside of just, look, it's a Mickey on a card. I did just say that a lot of people are excited about Lost Caverns of Ixalan, but the entire state of Magic the Gathering is not great right now. The feedback I'm hearing from a lot of players, from collectors, people that just buy cards casually, is that not only are they tapped out, but when they want to spend money on a TCG, their money's not going to Magic anymore. Even for people, if that's their number one game, they're not spending money on packs, on precons, on any type of new product that's coming out from Wizards of the Coast. And this is a problem that has existed since Hasbro bought Wizards of the Coast. It has only been amplified by the Magic 30 nonsense that happened. It has had an impact on the secondary market as well as primary sales for Hasbro. Even Reserve List right now, like, the prices on those cards are dropping because people are losing confidence that Wizards is actually going to maintain the Reserve List. For those of you that don't know, this is a list of cards that Wizards of the Coast has said, we're not going to reprint these cards. So if you have them, we're not going to reprint them. They're not going to lose their value. We're going to let the market decide how much those are worth. It's a system that is meant to increase confidence that the cards you own are going to maintain value so that you hang on to them, so that they maintain their collectability and value. But Wizards and Hasbro have just been moving in a direction where it feels like they're just going to reprint anything that they want so that they can make money on it. And one of the indicators of that is, Mana Crypt, which is a $120 to $130 card. It's a very good card. It's usable in a lot of different formats. Is getting reprinted in Ixalan but it's got 7 different printings, I think. There's the main one that is like a 7-color version, and then there's a red one and a green one and a purple one, and it makes people lose confidence. And I get what they're going for, because people go, yeah, I want a mana crypt of every color. And so essentially you've created a situation in the secondary market where you have increased demand for a card that previously only existed in one artwork, and now you have multiple of those artworks. It's kind of exhausting for players, though, just to see these cards continuously reprinted. Like with Doubling Season, that card's been reprinted like 3 times in the last 3 sets. Yeah, it's great that you have more opportunities to get that card, but when the rarity is so high that the likelihood of actually pulling it out of a pack, despite it being in multiple sets, is still low. So it ultimately doesn't really matter, and players have just become fatigued. To where I hear a lot of people say, like, they don't get that dopamine hit from opening a pack of Magic cards anymore. Because every set has been reduced to, if you don't pull one of these top 5 cards, then you've wasted your money. You end up with a bunch of bulk. And Magic bulk prices are the lowest of all TCGs. So when you spend, $3 to $4 on a pack, or more, depending on what set it is, sometimes you're spending $14 on a pack to open it and go like, oh, I got a $2 card. The rest is worth pennies each at the most. It doesn't exactly inspire confidence. Instead, what it does is creates player fatigue, collector fatigue, to where people just don't want to open packs. Another big thing, and I've been harping on this all year long, is that Wizards and Hasbro have been printing cards to support Commander. Commander is the most widely played, it's the biggest format in Magic at this point, but Commander is still relatively new to Magic the Gathering. For the first 25 years of Magic, Standard was your number one. Standard was way up here at the top, and then everything below that, they were just like tertiary formats that not a ton of people played. They didn't get a lot of support, and that has changed, and in a lot of ways that's good, because there should be more playable formats besides just Standard. People like Modern, people like Pioneer, people love Commander. The problem is that when you have non-rotating formats, they get stale very quickly. Commander is a non-rotating format, and so once you've played against, the same 10 to 15 top commanders just over and over again, once you have your perfect build of your commander deck, you don't have a reason to continue buying cards, and you don't have a reason to, get out and play and experience the diversity of the metagame, just because there's not really one for Commander. Like, there are new ideas people are constantly trying out, but if you're playing with the same group or in the same shops in the same city, you're just going to see the same commanders over and over again. And so the philosophy has been, when a new Magic set comes out, even though Lost Caverns of Ixalan is going to be a standard set, the design of that set includes cards for Standard, cards for Modern, cards for Pioneer, cards for Draft, cards specifically for Commander. And that's a lot to try to do with this set, to where you're trying to do too much at once, and it's going to make no one happy. So if you release this set and there's 4 or 5 new Standard staples, well, Standard players don't have a lot to work with there. If there's 3 or 4 big cards for Commander, there's no reason to buy packs. Just wait for the singles market. That's enough Hasbro ranting for now. One of the points I wanted to get to, and one of the main contributors to this TCG panic that we seem to be easing into right now, going into the 4th quarter, is a lot of shops are just calling it quits. They're either closing permanently, or they're having to draw a line in the sand and say, look, I'm just not going to order Yu-Gi-Oh! Sealed product anymore because no one's buying it. If someone wants to special order it, I'll try to get it from the distributor, but it's not worth having on my shelf. One of the biggest sellers of Magic cards in America is Troll and Toad, which is based in Corbin, Kentucky, very close to where I live. Troll and Toad recently made this small press release where they said, hey, starting in 2024, we're not going to sell Magic singles. We're not going to order any more sealed Magic product. Magic 30 has put a bad taste in our mouths. It's not selling the way it used to. The profit margins were low enough already. We're just not going to deal with Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast anymore with Magic the Gathering product. And there's been a variety of responses to this. A lot of outlets are like, hell yeah, Troll and Toad, stick it to them, show them you mean business. And other people have just gone like, yeah, this is an indicator that a lot of companies are just out, that they can't support one of their best products anymore. And in the case of Troll and Toad, because I work in a similar industry and in the same state, so I get a lot of employees from Troll and Toad, a lot of former employees from Troll and Toad in shop that I'm able to talk to and kind of get information out of, get some context for some things. And what I hear from everyone locally is that the company has just been mismanaged to a point where financially they really just can't do Magic the Gathering anymore. It's not specifically Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro policies. They cited specifically Magic 30 and all the fallout from that as a reason where people have lost interest in, they're not making money. That is a factor. That is a factor for all shops right now. But in the case of Troll and Toad, it's more of they've invested money into ventures that did not work out for them. They have tried to buy out other shops that have immediately failed. And just because of the mismanagement and the misallocation of funds, they're having to make decisions like cutting one of their biggest sellers out in order to financially stay afloat. On top of that, there have also been some leaks from Wizards of the Coast employees saying they're not happy with management, that at least 40 to 50% of employees have voiced concerns about these types of troubles within the company internally, that Hasbro has been mismanaging the card game, that the card game is failing in a lot of aspects because of basically the marketing and the printing and just the sheer number of products that they're forced to put out. And I understand that. I absolutely believe all of these leaks that have been coming out, because the problem isn't with Wizards of the Coast employees. They're card designers, they're game testers, they are still firing on all cylinders. They are producing some amazing products, some amazing cards that are just like instant favorites with every set that comes out. And to be able to do that 30 years into a card game is astounding. The problem is that they have so much oversight of saying, well, now you have to design all these Doctor Who cards, and it's going to release, 2 weeks after our last big release, which released 2 weeks after our last big release. When you have so much product coming out, people aren't going to be spending money on everything. They're going to be very choosy, and they're going to go, okay, well, I'm just not going to buy packs. I'll wait on the singles. Or, I can't afford a full booster box. Maybe I'll do a pre-release and that's it. And what it amounts to is a lot of people drifting away from those card games. That's another struggle I have personally, where I would love to play Digimon and One Piece and Magic and Pokemon, but I can't afford it. I can't afford to keep up with that many metagames, even within Magic. If you want to play multiple formats, it gets expensive. Magic is the most expensive card game to play. So if you want to play Standard and Modern, you're looking at dropping a lot of money, and your focus really has to go into just honing in on those particular decks. You don't have the time or the energy or the money for other card games unless that's just what you do for a living. We're in a financial climate where people just don't have the money for luxury items anymore, because that money is going to rent, it's going to groceries, it's going to just staying alive. And when you have to be that choosy, you can't invest in multiple card games. You might not even be able to invest in one card game. And that is felt throughout the community. Because if players start dropping off from events, if you show up to play Standard at a shop and it's just you and one other person because no one else can afford to come out, no one else can afford to get the new cards, or they can't afford to have the free time in the afternoon if they're having to work 2 jobs now going into the holiday season, that kind of reverberates throughout the entire community, throughout the entire industry, and it puts shops in a very difficult position. It puts these corporations in a very difficult situation where if Wizards doesn't slow down on how often they're releasing products and in the quantity that they're releasing products, in addition to all the other problems they have with like Amazon dumps and internal issues and the reprinting of cards and the impact on the secondary market. They have a lot going on right now, and they have a lot to worry about. It's really the individuals at the bottom, at the roots, that have to deal with these issues. It's store owners, it's employees that, you know, have to report up the ladder and go like, this is why people aren't showing up for events. This is why there's still so much Duelist Nexus sitting on the shelf. And so I do understand this panic and the worries that are out there, because I am part of TCGs at a retail level, at the community level. And I hear all of these negative things coming in of people just saying, I can't do it anymore. I'm not enjoying it anymore. And that is problematic, because like I said, you can feel those reverberations all the way up the ladder, all the way to the top. And everything that's coming back down from the top is also negative. Where Hasbro is saying, you know, we're making more money than ever. We're just going to keep pumping out products forever. We're just going to take every IP we can. We're going to shove it onto a card and people are going to buy it. But what they've seen with even their secret layers is the more you put out, the less people are buying. But their philosophy hasn't changed. There's still secret layers coming out all the time that people aren't buying. People are going to get sick of Universes Beyond, I think. You can put Jeff Goldblum on a card. You can put Optimus Prime on a card. You can put Rick from Walking Dead on a card. And people are excited if they care. But for the community as a whole, it's kind of just nothing. It's grasping at straws trying to get people to buy a product that should otherwise be selling itself. Those are just my thoughts. I have rambled a lot today, so if you've made it this far, I very much appreciate it. I do enjoy doing these videos on a almost like a monthly basis. I'll be checking back in November once some more of these big releases have happened, just to see where the state of TCG is, just to see where the state of player groups and the overall economy is at, moving closer into holiday season. I will see you then. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye.